Listen, if you want to know why millionaires love waking up at 5 a.m., you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma and sharing the step-by-step habits that could turn your mornings and your life around. Don't miss out, because this just might be the wake-up call you need. Picture this. The world is still dark, the air is crisp, and you're already up with a head start on the rest of the world. This is the essence of the victory hour, the cornerstone of Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. Club. It's that sacred time before dawn where the day is yours to shape, undisturbed and unhurried. The silence before the storm. Imagine setting aside 1 hour each morning, carving out time to focus entirely on yourself, to grow, to reflect, and to elevate your life before life's demands start pulling you in every direction. This is where success is forged, one quiet hour at a time. Now, let me introduce you to Thomas. He was just like you, an ordinary guy, juggling responsibilities, feeling drained, and watching his dreams slip further away with every passing day. You know that feeling, right? Like you're running a race but always seem to be behind? That was Thomas, stuck in the daily grind, until he came across a copy of the 5 a.m. Club. It was a random find, just a book sitting on a shelf. But that book would end up being his turning point. He didn't know it yet, but what he was holding in his hands was a key to a completely new life. As he began to read, what seemed like a collection of words quickly became a map, guiding him step by step towards a path of transformation. Let me take you on that journey with him. Thomas wasn't exactly eager to jump out of bed at 5 a.m. Who would willingly trade sleep for an extra hour in the day, right? But as he turned each page, one phrase kept echoing in his mind. Own your morning, elevate your life. It sounded too simple to be true, almost like another self-help cliche. But then he started to see a pattern. The world's top performers, from elite athletes to billionaire entrepreneurs, all swore by the early morning ritual. It wasn't about depriving himself of sleep. It was about gaining something far more valuable, a head start on life. He made a decision. For the next 30 days, Thomas committed to waking up at 5 a.m., embracing that victory hour. And that's when everything changed. The first day was hard. His bed felt like a magnet, the warmth of the covers urging him to stay. But there was a thrill, a quiet excitement in the air, like he was doing something few others dared to do. Each morning, as he got out of bed, he wasn't just waking up, he was awakening to a new version of himself. Thomas began his mornings with the 20-20-20 formula. For the first 20 minutes, he moved, sweating out the fatigue and getting his heart pumping. It was a shock to his system at first, but soon he craved it. As his muscles burned, his mind cleared, the fog of sleep lifted, replaced by a sharpness, an energy that flowed through his veins. It wasn't just exercise, it was like flipping a switch, turning on the best version of himself before the day even started. The next 20 minutes were for reflection. Picture this. The world is still quiet, the sun is barely peeking over the horizon, and it's just you and your thoughts. Thomas used this time to meditate, to journal, and to set his intentions. It wasn't just about organizing his day, it was about grounding himself, reminding himself of his goals, and connecting with his purpose. Those moments of stillness became the most important part of his routine. It was where he found clarity, where he silenced the noise and heard his own voice again. And then came the final 20 minutes, dedicated to growth. He'd pick up a book, listen to an audiobook, or dive into an online course. It didn't matter what it was, as long as it fed his mind. Over time, those small daily doses of learning began to add up. He found himself quoting ideas from the books he read, sharing insights that surprised even him. It wasn't just knowledge, it was transformation. His thinking was evolving, expanding, reaching new heights he hadn't imagined. But Thomas's journey wasn't just about what he did in the morning, it was about who he was becoming. He learned that success isn't reserved for the talented or the lucky, it belongs to those who are consistent. Each day that he woke up early, each morning that he invested in himself, he was building a new identity, one disciplined step at a time. He wasn't just changing his habits, He was reshaping his destiny. One of the greatest lessons Thomas learned along the way was the value of discomfort. You see, true growth doesn't happen when you stay in your comfort zone. It happens when you push yourself beyond what feels easy. There were mornings when he didn't want to get up, when the thought of another cold run made him want to hit the snooze button. But that's where the magic happens, on the edge of comfort, where most people stop. Thomas pushed through. He ran those miles, he embraced the burn, he leaned into the struggle. And with every challenge, he grew stronger, more resilient. He discovered the power of focus through the 90-90-1 rule. For 90 minutes a day, over 90 days, he worked on one major project with 0 distractions. This wasn't about multitasking or juggling 100 things at once. It was about deep work, diving into one task and giving it everything he had. It was in those 90-minute blocks that breakthroughs happened, not through luck, but through pure, undiluted effort. The kind of effort that most people never experience because they never commit fully to one thing. But it wasn't just about doing more, it was about doing better. Thomas started paying attention to what Sharma calls the 4 interior empires: mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. It wasn't enough to just sharpen his mind. He nurtured his emotional health, kept his body in peak condition, and took time for his spiritual well-being. These pillars didn't just support his daily routine, they became the foundation for a fulfilling life. Through the early mornings, Thomas also found the value of solitude. There's something powerful about being alone with your thoughts, about having space to think deeply without the constant buzz of notifications and demands. This was where creativity flourished, where ideas took shape, and where he did his best work. It wasn't about isolating himself, it was about finding focus in a world full of distractions. Thomas adopted what Sharma calls the Spartan Creed: sweat more in training, bleed less in war. He pushed himself harder in his workouts, not because he loved the pain, but because he knew that it prepared him for life's challenges. The more he trained, the stronger he became, not just physically, but mentally. The struggles of the day seemed smaller, less intimidating, because he had already conquered something much tougher every morning. He began to simplify his life, shedding the unnecessary clutter. It wasn't just about getting rid of physical stuff, it was about letting go of mental baggage, choosing experiences over possessions. He found that the more he simplified, the more joy he experienced. His focus wasn't scattered, it was razor sharp. And then, Thomas became intentional about the people he surrounded himself with. He sought out those who inspired him, who lifted him up, who challenged him to grow. He realized that we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, so he chose wisely. His circle wasn't just a group of friends, it became a network of mentors, motivators, and allies. One of the simplest yet most profound shifts Thomas made was embracing the power of small wins. Instead of chasing massive goals, he focused on daily victories, no matter how small. It was these little wins that kept his momentum going, that built his confidence day by day. But there's one secret we can't ignore: sleep. For Thomas, high-quality rest wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity for peak performance. He learned to guard his sleep, to make it a priority, because without it, even the strongest morning routine would fall apart. Thomas practiced gratitude daily, taking a few moments each morning to reflect on what he was thankful for. He reshaped his mindset, turning his attention away from what was missing and towards what he already had. It didn't make his problems vanish, but it made them feel smaller, more manageable. Every day he continued to learn. He soaked up knowledge like a sponge, not just for the sake of knowing more, but to become more. As Sharma said, education is the kindling of a flame, and with every piece of wisdom he gathered, that flame burned brighter. Thomas also found joy in giving. He realized that true success isn't just about accumulating wealth or accolades. It's about contributing to others, making a difference. The more he gave, the more fulfilled he felt. It was as if the act of giving was a form of receiving. And finally, Thomas set his sights on his Everest, his biggest, most ambitious goal. It wasn't just a dream, it was a target that pushed him to his limits. It forced him to grow, to stretch beyond what he thought was possible. He understood that dreaming big wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. Now, let me tell you, Thomas didn't just transform his mornings, he transformed his entire life. He realized that his destiny wasn't dictated by chance, but by choice. Each decision to rise before the sun, to push through discomfort, to seek growth over comfort, it all led to this moment. And you too can take that first step. Remember, the 5 a.m. Club isn't just about waking up early. It's about waking up to your potential. Don't let another day pass without owning your morning and elevating your life. Before you go, make sure you watch the next video, Why We Overspend, The Psychology of Money. It dives into why you struggle to keep your finances in check and what you can do to finally take control. You can't afford to miss it.